This episode of I Work for Him is brought to you by SaferNet, online at safernet.com.
Every day in America, more than 3,000 ministries are serving workplace believers by discipling Christ followers to live out their faith in their work. However, most of these organizations are working on their own, often recreating the wheel from their limited resources because they don't know there are others out there doing exactly the same thing.
I Work for Him has a vision to document the tapestry of the faith and work movement to enable and facilitate selfless kingdom collaboration across the country and bring harmony to the body of Christ in the workplace.
For more than a decade, God has been weaving the stories of workplace believers and the work of so many faith and work ministries into I Work for Him. He's been entwining us with these organizations so that you, too, can be a part of this great tapestry.
He's been connecting us in order to connect you.
Just like a tapestry, the work is sometimes messy and takes time. But in the end, a beautiful, unified picture emerges, more incredible than we could ever imagine. Please be a part of that mission. You've tuned into I Work for Him, the voice of collaboration for the faith and work movement. And our mission is to inspire every workplace believer to recognize their workplace as their ministry place, where they work with God every day. What does that look like in your workplace? Let's find out right now. World changer. When Blake Mattocks was growing up, that was not the way he would have described himself. With a quiet, sensitive demeanor and a pastor's heart for people, that's who God has transformed Blake Mattocks to be. Literally, a world changer. 7 years ago, Blake launched a brand new ministry called 365 Christian Men. 5 years ago, we covered it here on this podcast. Today, the reach of the daily inspirational and challenging videos of 365 Christian Men have a reach that spans the entire globe, with 8 to 10 million people interacting with these videos every month. Unbelievable for a guy who just wanted to serve and make a difference. 365 Christian Men is at a crossroads. Will it go forward or leave a legacy for someone to pick up and run with it? Either way, Blake Mattocks is here to tell us the story and inspire us all. Blake, welcome back to I Work for Him.
Jim, can you do that again? That was so good.
No,
you should be on the radio.
It's recorded. You can listen to it as many times as you wanted to.
Man, that was something else.
Blake, when you shifted from pulpit ministry to running a business called 365 Christian Men, what were the thoughts going through your head? Besides, what the heck am I thinking? Besides that
first and foremost, that was it. I had no idea. Construction background, pastoral ministry, had no idea what this was going to look like. So it was a complete step of faith, trust God. You have to lead God. You have to show me every step of the way.
Were you a finished carpenter?
No, I was a bricklayer.
Okay. So the attention to detail, that's where I was going. Because a general contractor who's a framer, that's one thing. You've got an attention to detail that I rarely see, because 365 Christian Men is such a detailed ministry, and a bricklayer makes sense because a bricklayer needs to make sure everything is square, plumb, and level at every level of brick, because otherwise, as things get off, that's how you get the Leaning Tower of Pisa. All right, so when you shifted to 365 Christian Men 7 years ago, were you ready for the challenges and the victories that you've experienced?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I think I was ready for the challenges because I like to take on a challenge. But I think I had no idea because the learning curve for me was pretty huge. I was stepping into something I'd never done before. So along the way of trying to figure this thing out, I had to learn and teach myself all new skill set.
So let's talk about 365 Christian Men. There's a lot of people that weren't listening to I Work for Him 5 years ago, and they're listening today. They want to know, what is this all about? 365 Christian Men. Give it to us in a couple minute summary.
Yeah, I think starting with the vision is important. Hebrews chapter 12:1 says we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses that have run their race. We know, in fact, that today we as believers are running our race. And so the man that had the vision for this, he and I sat down 7 years ago, and he said, I want to inspire my 4 sons to run this race, and I want to do it through the power of story. Let's do that. Let's dream about what that would look like. And I want to write short stories about real men, primarily historical, but also modern day men. And I want them to be short. I want them to be single event stories. I don't want them to be autobiographies or biographies. So that's where we started. In June of 2018, that's what we started. That conversation started it all.
And we picked up that conversation in 2020, COVID year, as you were still putting together the 365 videos. And now you've gone, how many individual stories have you written up today?
We have one story for every day of the year. We have a few others that are compiled that have not been launched yet. And we have 100 stories of women that have been recorded and written but have not been narrated yet. Oh. So we have quite a library. We have a story for every day of the year, and we have a brand new challenge for every story for every day of the year. So that's brand new content, 365 days a year.
And that's what's been fun. So not only as I Work for Him had the privilege of covering what God has been doing through you, you invited me to start recording a challenge or two a month. So in other words, we listen to the video for the day, and then some guy like me gets to put an opinion afterward or just share a little bit of perspective on that story to drive it home a little deeper. Blake, the stories that you have chosen and the challenges that you guys deliver, talk about impact. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Actually, probably, it's what are you hearing?
Yeah. How much time you got? Seriously, the impact of these stories, what we did is we hired professional ghostwriters to write these stories. And what we said was, we want you to find a single event in a man's life that will inspire men. Our tagline is inspirational stories of real men. And we didn't want the polished stories. We wanted the stories with the bumps, the bruises, the scars, the warts, and everything in between. And so these stories, when men listen to them today, they can identify with those stories because we're all running the race and we're all messy people and we all struggle. And so these stories, whether it's a story about addiction or whether it's a story about some kind of anger issues or any other number of things, men relate to these stories.
They do. And every story, and they range in time, but from 5 to 7 minutes, they get emailed out to you. They get texted out to you. They are on your website. They're powerful, powerful stories. And it is just about one event that transformed that guy's life. Talk about transformational. I don't know, Blake, have you checked out the U.S. Christian Chamber yet?
No, I have not.
Well, I want to invite all of you, including Blake Mattocks, to check out uschristianchamber.com. The economy of this country should be under the influence of Jesus Christ. And the U.S. Christian Chamber is there to inspire marketplace-focused people to make an impact on their local community by doing their work for the glory and honor of God. That's what the U.S. Christian Chamber is all about, getting together with other people across the country that want to glorify God with whatever work they're doing. That's really I Work for Him, so they can say I work for Him every day. I encourage all of you to become a member of the U.S. Christian Chamber online at uschristianchamber.com. Talk about transformational. There are now 21 local Christian chambers in 21 different cities across the country now, and more in the upcoming years. So it's a lot of exciting stuff going on. Blake, as we talk about 365christianmen.com, I want to encourage everybody to get out there, get signed up. How do they get signed up to get the daily text like I get? I don't even remember. I've done it so many years ago. How do they do that?
Yeah, great question. Probably the simplest way to get the text is have a friend share it with a friend, share it with a friend, share it with a friend. But we've got a QR code that people can scan. So go along the
lines of heard it from a friend who, heard it from a friend who.
Yeah. I'd sing it, but I'm not a singer.
Yeah, no. That you heard it on 365.
We've got a QR code people can scan. Some people prefer the text.
Okay.
They get a daily text. What they don't get with that, they get the daily story and challenge. The app offers a little more content, tells a little bit more about who we are.
Wait a minute, there's an app for this? Wait a minute, there's an app for this?
There is an app for 365 Christian Men.
Unbelievable. And it's just 365 Christian Men, both Apple and in the Google store?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's fantastic. So now you've got no excuse. If you want to inspire the men in your life, 365 Christian Men, there's an app for that. That's unbelievable. Okay. All right. I'm excited about this. You guys, I've been able to be a part of this personally, which I love. And I've also walked alongside Blake as a friend for several years, and I've seen how God has just continued to do incredible things. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Blake, what's been the biggest challenge for you personally for running this 365 Christian Men organization?
Yeah, I'd say probably a couple things. It's very demanding. It takes a lot of time. We hire contractors when we have specific work that we need done, but it's a lot of work. All of this content is created new monthly, and it all has to be uploaded. It all has to be worked into the program. So there's a lot of work. And then obviously we are, I shouldn't say obviously, but now we're a 501c3. We're a nonprofit. And so we're trying to figure out how to create an economic engine so we can feed this machine. And I think that's been personally a big challenge for me, because I'm doing this full time, and without resources, you know how that is.
Well, you're not without resources. You have the cattle on 1,000 hills. You serve the God who owns it all. So you're not without resources. Those resources just currently aren't being directed to 365 Christian Men, which I would encourage anybody that check out 365 Christian Men in the App Store, online. Get this in the hands of the men in your life, and you will see a difference, because the reason I work for him even exists, Blake Mattocks, is because I kept hearing stories of God doing miracles and incredible things in the lives of believers out there in the marketplace, in the workplaces of America. And I'm like, we need to share those stories, because we're all inspired by faith stories. 365 Christian Men is all of those stories delivered on a daily basis. It's like a daily podcast. It is a daily podcast, just with somebody else talking, not Blake Mattocks. Although Blake Mattocks does some of these. All right. If the biggest challenge has been raising money and really working really hard to get it all done, because all the moving pieces, and you're working with translators, and how many different countries are you working with different people right now?
Well, we're translating into 4 different languages, but we're in over 100 countries.
Right, but I mean, but as part of your team, like, where are the people from? Like, how many different countries is your team in?
Specifically right now, 5 to 7.
Yeah, 5 to 7.
Yeah.
5 to 7 countries. Like, there's a little different cultural differences maybe on 5 to 7 different people. All right, so if the biggest challenge is some of that organizational stuff and the money thing that God's already got taken care of, he's saying, Blake, would you just chillax? Seriously, if I want this to move forward, I'm going to give you the money. And I'm thinking it's maybe a big partner that says, holy smokes, this is incredible. I want to take this to the next level. What do you think the biggest victory's been, Blake?
I think the biggest victory is the testimonies that we hear of transformed lives, and I mean that sincerely. I got an email 2 weeks ago from a pastor in Africa, who every day.
Africa's a large continent. Can we have a country, please?
He is from Mombasa, near Kenya.
Okay.
Near Kenya. And every day he gets up, he came across 365 Christian Men on Spotify. We have 33,000 followers on Spotify. He must be one of them. And he found that on Spotify, started listening to it, started letting his sons listen to it. And now every day before they go to school, they listen or watch a 365 story. The testimonies, hands down, are the most impactful thing.
And even if it was just one person being impacted, but it's not just one person. At a meeting we were recently in, you shared that on a monthly basis, how many people are being impacted by 365 Christian Men?
On a conservative level, 8 to 10 million.
That's unbelievable. And that's 8 to 10 million men, probably almost all men. So then think of the families. That could be 8 to 10 million families, which quite literally could be somewhere between 40 and 50 million people that are being impacted because of 365 Christian Men. Did you ever even think 7 years ago, well, gosh, I think we want to impact about 50 million people or so? I mean, what were you thinking? What did you think your reach would be?
No, we thought that this would be a U.S.-based thing. We thought we would check the box. We would do an ebook or print on demand, and we'd have a little bit of a footprint somewhere in the USA. And that was the extent of our thinking. And then it started to take off. Really, the project was planned to be a 2-year project. We're going to start in 2018, be done in 2020. But because of the tidal wave, we kept riding the wave and kept watching God do more and more and more.
So that's clearly one of the miracles, is God just did way more than you could have asked or imagined. There should be a Bible verse. There is a Bible verse like that. All right. No, I have not had that much Mountain Dew. This is just me. I'm so excited. All right. So talk about miracles. Is there a specific miracle that has spun out of 365? I'm going to talk about you personally and you and your bride personally. Those miracles we're going to talk about in a second. I mean, a miracle that you've heard about because of this ministry.
Yeah, I'll tell you about one that I heard about 6 weeks ago. A woman in India was in her home, And the video was being broadcast into her home through Hosanna TV in her native language of Tamil. She was getting ready to kill herself. She was being abused in her home, and she was getting ready to take her own life. The story came on, and I know this because the woman who oversees the ministry knows this woman personally, shared this. She was getting ready to take her life. She watched the 365 story. She got on her knees, recognized that the God who created her loved her. She gave her heart to Christ, and now she works for that ministry in southern India. That was just 6 weeks ago. In her native language of Tamil, she watched the story, gave her heart to Christ.
Unbelievable. And that makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it, Blake?
Oh, that is it right there. That's what it's all about.
You and Melinda have walked together for how many years now?
It will be 42 in June.
42 years. How have you kept your marriage strong while you're working your butt off for 365 Christian Men? I mean, you were a pulpit pastor too, so that's also one of those sort of demanding jobs. And you're a bricklayer. That was probably demanding, but that you went from bricklaying to being a pulpit pastor now to 365. You've had some demanding years. How are you keeping your marriage straight?
I think your bride better be your best friend. And if they're your best friend, you're going to want to spend time together. It's not about having to spend time. You're going to want to spend time together. You got to prioritize that. Eventually the kids are gone and it's you and her, or you and him, and you better have built something that's going to last.
For those of you listening that still have your kids living at home and they're in their 20s or 30s, you heard what Blake said. Eventually, the kids should be gone. They're not supposed to still living at home. Help them get into a house or out of your house. It's one of those things. Or start charging them rent and they'll leave naturally. It's just one of those things. All right. Speaking of things you should do naturally, you should protect yourself on your computer, shouldn't you, Blake? SaferNet is like the best tool ever out there. It's got a VPN, so it keeps you from being able to be seen on the internet. It's got web filters to keep you from looking at stuff you shouldn't look at. It's got antivirus to keep the bad guys from putting garbage on you. And what I love best is this console. So you can put it in the whole company and watch what everybody's doing and keep people from going places they shouldn't go. And the miraculous thing is, if you click on a link you shouldn't click on and it takes you to a place that you don't want to go, SaferNet will stop it. Get it on every one of your computers. It's super reasonably priced. It's super powerful. SaferNet.com. Blake, what are you facing today? 365 Christian Men is at a crossroads.
Yeah, I'd say we're at a crossroads for this reason. So in July of last year, we transitioned from an LLC to a 501c3. So we're trying, as I said a few minutes ago, to feed this machine. I felt like going into 2025 that the vision God gave for this year was reach more, write more, and transform lives. And so we have been praying, our board has been praying into that vision. And even more recently, in the last 5 weeks, I felt like the Lord challenged me to put together a 500 people challenge. And that is that's where we're at right now. Reach more, write more, transform lives, and this 500 people challenge that's going to help us to generate some revenue so we can create new content, give stories away, and translate into more languages. And
impact, instead of 8 to 10 million, 800 to 100 million. 800 to a billion people. That's my goal.
Get this, Jim. In India, the majority of the people in India speak the language of Hindi, about 80%. Our ministry partners that translated our videos into Tamil can translate our videos into Hindi. Forget AI. We're going to use local people on the ground so we can support people for $30 a video. $30 a video, we can translate it correctly into the language of Hindi. The audience in the Hindi language, including India, Europe, and Australia, is 40 to 50 million people.
And that's
we can
one language.
Translate those videos for $30 a video.
It's unbelievable. And I'm just, on this show, we don't ever ask for money. But what I'm saying is I believe there's somebody here in the I Work For Him audience that's been looking for a challenge. And when you see the material the 365 Christian Men's been putting out there, they need a partner. They need a business person that's saying, I want to get behind this challenge. I want to help get this impacting more people. I mean, Blake, we know people around the world, and we know that there is a huge move of God all over the globe. Not to mention our own country, which is actually going to celebrate Easter. I know the show's going to come out just after Easter, but our country celebrated Easter from the White House this year. Praise God. Praise Unbelievable. God. So if somebody wants to partner with you, if somebody wants to talk to you personally, or somebody wants to just get a hold of you, the best way on 365 Christian Men, is there a Contact Us page?
Yeah, there is a Contact Us page on the website. My email is there, blake@365christianmen.com. We're on all the streaming platforms. We've got an app. We are reachable. We're on LinkedIn. We're on all those platforms. So I'm pretty easy to reach.
Is everything on YouTube as well?
Yes, we have a YouTube channel.
Nice. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Blake, when you look at where God has taken you from, and through a step of obedience 7 years ago, where God has taken you to, what blows your mind the most?
Oh, man. I would say what blows my mind the most, if I could answer it with a short answer, would be the faithfulness of God. God, we know Scripture tells us that God, when we delight ourselves in Him, gives us the desires of our heart. A lot of times we don't even know what those desires are. But when we focus our attention on God, He will align His plan with what our desires are, whether we know them or not. And you'll get in the flow of what God is doing in your life. And you will find that sweet spot of what God's created you to be and to do. And I think that's where I'm living today, is just saying, God, I wouldn't have picked this. You could ask me to do 500 things. This would not have been anywhere on that list. And yet I get to hear every day about lives being changed and transformed. It just I can't. It's hard to put into words.
It is hard to put into words. And it is amazing that you just summarized your biggest need, to just continue to rely on the faithfulness of God. He always delivers when He's called us to do something, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to stretch us. I mean, you often hear, Blake, that, well, God never asked you to do something that you're not capable of doing. Like, oh no, He does it all the time. That's where faith comes in. And Blake, He's put before you a vision that is absolutely impossible for you to do.
Impossible.
But with God, all things are possible. Again, another song I think would be great. All things are possible. Okay. Wow, great song one. Blake, I love that you brought this to our audience today. I'd encourage every one of you listening, get 365 Christian Men onto the iPhone and Android phone or whatever you got. I don't think those are the only two kind of phones you got out there. Get the app on there. Get it delivered to them on a daily basis. Watch their lives start to be impacted by stalwart men of faith who screwed up. Some of them just screwed up and then became stalwart men of faith. It's just super inspirational. Blake Mattocks, do not give up. Keep praying for that person that's got a bigger vision than you to join alongside of you, and those 500 people, they're going to be a part of changing the world. Blake Mattocks, thanks for being on I Work For Him today.
Thank you, Jim. So good to be with you, my friend.
You've been listening to I Work For Him with your host, Jim Brangenberg. I'm a Christ follower. My workplace, it's my mission field, but ultimately, I work for Him.
This episode of I Work For Him is brought to you by SaferNet, online at safernet.com. If it's easy to use, you will use it. What if you had one place to monitor all the internet activity of everyone in your family? Attention, I Work For Him listeners. Safeguard your business and family with SaferNet VPN. We deliver top-notch cybersecurity with a user-friendly approach, protect sensitive data with a virtual private network, and shield loved ones from harmful content with 84 internet filters. Choose SaferNet VPN for peace of mind. Get secured now. Sign up at safernet.com. That's safernet.com.
Did you know that God has a calling on your life? It's true. He's called you to bring Jesus to the world. For some, that may look like a pulpit or a foreign mission field, but for most of us, it looks like a construction site, a cubicle, a hospital, or a classroom. Wherever it is that you work, live, volunteer, and invest, that is your mission field. To learn more about integrating your faith into your work and retirement, check out our books, I Work For Him, She Works For Him, and I Retire For Him, by going to iworkforhim.com/bookstore.
Thanks for listening to the I Work For Him podcast with your host, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Please visit iworkforhim.com to learn more about connecting your faith and work, to join the I Work For Him Nation, or subscribe to our weekly blog. You can also follow us on social media at I Work For Him to stay up to date and meet our guests. If today's message spoke to you, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Your review will launch more workplace missionaries across America. That's at I Work For Him and online at iworkforhim.com. I work, the number 4, him.com.